Flying around the moon is incredible, but it's just the beginning. NASA has a plan so big it will take years to complete. And it doesn't end at the moon. The moon is just the first stop. So why are astronauts flying to the moon again? What's the real reason? And what happens next? The moon is a stepping stone. Here's the big secret behind the Artemis program. NASA doesn't just want to visit the moon. They want to eventually send humans to Mars. But Mars is much, much harder to reach than the moon. A trip to Mars takes about 7 months one way, and astronauts would be exposed to more radiation, longer periods of weightlessness, and much more isolation than anything humans have experienced before. So before trying to get to Mars, NASA wants to practice on the moon. Think of it like training for a marathon by doing shorter races first. The moon is close enough to be reachable, but far enough away to test all the difficult parts of long space missions. The moon program is called Artemis, Artemis, named after the ancient Greek goddess of the moon and twin sister of Apollo. The original Apollo missions went to the moon over 50 years ago. Artemis is the next chapter. The plan step by step. NASA isn't doing this all at once. It's a careful staircase of missions, each one building on the last. Step 1, Artemis I, 2022. Test the rocket with no crew. The first Artemis mission had no astronauts. It was an uncrewed test flight to check that the Orion spacecraft and the SLS rocket worked safely. Everything went well, and NASA got the green light to send a crew. Step 2, Artemis II, 2026. Test the crew in deep space. That's this mission happening right now. 4 astronauts are flying around the moon to prove that humans can safely travel in deep space, that Orion's life support systems work, and that everything is ready for landing missions. No landing yet, just testing. Step 3, Artemis III, 2027. Test the landing equipment. Here's where things get interesting. Originally, Artemis III was planned as the first moon landing, but in March 2026, NASA changed the plan. Instead of landing on the moon, Artemis III astronauts will stay closer to Earth and test the new lunar landers and spacesuits that will be needed for the actual landing. 2 companies, SpaceX and Blue Origin, have built new spacecraft specifically designed to land on the moon. Artemis III will test these in orbit before trusting them with a real moon landing. Step 4, Artemis IV, May 2028, the first moon landing in over 50 years. This is the moment everyone is waiting for. Artemis IV is planned to be the first crewed moon landing since Apollo 17 in 1972. The astronauts will land near the south pole of the moon in a place no human has ever visited. The South Pole is special because it has craters that are always in shadow, and scientists believe those craters contain frozen water ice. Step 5, Artemis V and beyond, building a moon base. Artemis V, planned for late 2028, will be the second landing, and this is where NASA plans to start building a permanent base on the moon's surface. Imagine a base camp at the top of Everest, but on the moon, so astronauts can stay longer and do more science. Why the moon's South Pole? You might be wondering, why the South Pole? Isn't the moon just a gray rock? The South Pole is very special. Some craters there are in permanent shadow, meaning sunlight never reaches inside them. Scientists think these shadowed craters have been cold enough to preserve water ice for billions of years. And water is incredibly valuable in space. It can be used for drinking, of course, but water can also be split into hydrogen and oxygen, the same chemicals used as rocket fuel. That means astronauts could one day refuel their spacecraft right on the moon instead of bringing all their fuel from Earth. It's like having a gas station on the moon. What happened to the moon space station? NASA used to have plans for something called the Gateway, a small space station that would orbit the moon. astronauts would dock there before going down to the surface. But in March 2026, NASA made a big decision. They're pausing the Gateway plan and focusing instead on building infrastructure directly on the moon's surface. This means instead of a floating outpost in space, NASA is going to build roads, shelters, and equipment right on the moon, faster and cheaper. The competition factor. There's another reason NASA is moving quickly. China has its own moon program. China is also planning to send astronauts to the moon, possibly before 2030. The Chinese Space Agency has been developing its own rockets and spacecraft, and their robotic missions have already landed on the moon's South Pole region to study the terrain. Some people think this competition is good, just like the original space race between the United States and the Soviet Union in the 1960s pushed both sides to work harder and achieve more. Competition has a way of making everyone try harder. But others think that the US and China should work together instead of racing. In science, sharing discoveries usually leads to better results for everyone. Why does any of this matter? It's a fair question. Space exploration is expensive. Why spend billions of dollars going to the moon when there are problems here on Earth? Here's one way to think about it. Almost every modern technology we rely on today, the internet, GPS, weather forecasting, medical scanners, was developed or improved because of space research. When we solve problems in space, we almost always end up solving problems on Earth too. And there's a bigger reason. Earth's resources aren't unlimited. Climate change, population growth, and energy needs are all challenges that will grow over the coming decades. Learning to live and work in space, even starting with the moon, helps humanity prepare for a future where we might need options beyond our home planet. The moon is the first step. Mars is the dream. And it all starts with Artemis II, right now. If NASA could only do one of these things, build a moon base or send people to Mars, which do you think they should do first? Leave your answer in the comments.